All right. I want to start out and say, obviously, congratulations to Ashton Richardson. What a great honor. And a great young man, a guy that walked on here and earned a scholarship, and now he's one of the 12 finalists for a Rhodes Scholar, and that is an unbelievable accomplishment for a great young man. So we wish him well on that. We hope he wins the opportunity to do that, and but that's great for him. The question about starting quarterback, I'll address up front. We are going to start this week with Jonathan Wallace for his first start of the year. And, again, we thought that after going back and looking at the film and really reviewing it, that he really played well. And so that's the decision that we've made. And so we're going to forge ahead with that. We've got a great challenge right now from a team right now that again, played Louisiana Tech last week very closely. It was 7-0 at halftime, so the record really isn't indicative of some of the games that they've played and played well. I think they're an improving team. They're in the same position we are, both needing a win. So, but it's good to get back to practice today and get our guys focused and prepare for another game.
Talk about Jonathan when you told him he's going to be the starter. He doesn't seem to get too excited
well,
about things.
It's really, Jonathan's one of these guys that's very mature, kind of beyond his years. He prepares that way. He was up here all day yesterday on his own just watching film, and not that that's the first day he's done that. He's just a little bit different. He's not into, all of the fluff and all of the the stuff around what all that means. He just loves football, and he loves to work at the game. So he's excited about it, and I think he's really going to embrace the opportunity. It's going to be a little bit different. It's different for a quarterback that's starting the game and being in that role than it is for for a guy to come in, in what it was somewhat of a limited role there for a while, and be that role player. So the other thing that'll be different being a starting quarterback is you have to deal with all the things, all the blitzes and the pressures, and of course when they know you have a young guy, that's what you're going to get, and it's a matter of how he can handle all of that. But again, his play was very positive Saturday night. He made some things happen. He made some tough throws. There's a couple throws in there that we'd like to have back, but in the run game and in the passing game, I thought he was very productive for a young guy and the chances that he got.
Does this team need a little bit of what Jonathan uses right now as far as just being positive and, like you said, just loving the game of football?
Well, it was really neat on the sideline to watch. As he made a couple of drives happen. Go down the field. It sparked some, energy and some passion into our bench. On both sides of the ball. And one of the things that our team does have for Jonathan is a very high level of respect for the way he prepares and the way he goes about his business. And that's not just, in the classroom and what they know he puts in extra, but the way he works on the field. And so he's had significant improvement. Again, this will be a little different for him because, the playbook will expand some, and, not that he hasn't been in the meetings and hearing it, seeing it, but now it's his opportunity to be the starter and, have to execute all of those things. So, again, a little different dynamic, but I thought that he really handled what we gave him to do in the game Saturday night very well.
Gene, almost really from day one of camp, other players were talking about him and how impressed they were. Was that even a surprise to you guys, considering he was a late signee like he was?
Well, Philip, we had so much knowledge of him because he had been to our camps, and I think a lot of times you can go back and you can look at guys that play very competitive football in high school leagues that are very, very good, which he did, at Central, and he was a big reason that they were as successful as they were. And it's really, when you come from a competitive league like Alabama high school football, and you're able to take your team and guide your team and lead your team to a lot of success, there's something to that. And then when you So when we recruited him, it was kind of an 11th hour deal, as we all know, but we knew he was right down the road, and we needed his type of leadership and his type of work ethic to come in here, you know, not knowing exactly how it would fit or where it would go, but there was a lot, when you talk about the mark of the man, there was a lot to him. And that has been very evident to everybody around here since he got here.
Gene, I know Clint was a little hurt on Saturday night. What's his status as far as health-wise?
Well, we don't know exactly yet. You know, I mean, obviously, I just met with him earlier this morning, and you know, he's got an ankle, and he's. I'm not a doctor, but it's going to be a struggle right now as the week wears on to see where he ends up in terms of being able to dress out and play. But I don't know that. I hate to say that on a Tuesday. I'm reluctant to always do that, but we'll know more on Thursday. But right now, I mean, he can't practice tonight, so we'll have to just see.
What about Kyle?
Hopefully, his shoulder is continuing to improve. You know, I feel like it's gotten, better. I'm not going to say he's at 100%, but we hope that, you know, he's working, you know, in that direction.
But he would be able to play if need be on Saturday?
Yes, I mean, that's the way it looks right now. And you know, again, I don't see any change from the way his arm felt Saturday night till now.
Who would be the backup in case something happened with Jonathan for Saturday?
Well, Kyle would.
Yes. Could you talk a little bit about why you viewed this as the right time to kind of insert him in that starting role?
Well, I think that a lot of it is really just going back and reviewing, you know, how he played Saturday. I think that was big. It was the first amount. It was the first time that he got, you know, an opportunity to do more than, you know, the initial role that we had played for him and some of the wildcat type stuff with a couple of throws off of that. You know, we threw him in, and again, he's in every meeting, he's at every practice, and he works them. And you know, when you watch him execute the game with more than his role, you know, as the game, you know, as we put him in there, we just felt like he did very well. And you know, it's I think he merited a chance to give him, you know, give him a starting nine.
Gene, who will
Were you
be?
surprised at all at how well he did in that expanded role against that?
You know, I hate to use the word surprise because that makes you think that I didn't think he could do it. I thought he was extremely poised under pressure. I thought he made some throws under pressure that were really, really good. I thought that just handling some of the calls out there that he's definitely had reps at, but not near as many reps as a starter would. I thought it was very impressive. And but what's more impressive about him is, and again, we'll see more when now that he knows he's the starter. But he doesn't, you know, he doesn't get rattled. He doesn't, you know, he's just a very poised young man, you know, beyond his years in terms of what we've seen up to this point.
Gene, obviously, with two kind of gippy guys behind him, I guess, who was kind of the emergency guy? Who's next in line?
Well, we're looking at that right now. You know, we used Ricardo Lewis, you know, as some of the wildcat guy this past week, and we'll continue to work him some there. You know, he was a high school quarterback son, and that's why we felt good with him handling the football. But we're actually, you know, that's kind of where we're at right now and figuring that out. Plus, you know, we just got to see where Clint, you know, see how fast Clint, you know, gets that ankle healed up.
How are some of the other guys on offense, some of the veterans, taking the news of having Jonathan installed?
I'm not sure a lot of them know right now. I mean, this wasn't a team meeting announcement. You know, I felt very compelled to be able to call the quarterbacks in individually and explain to them what we're doing and why we're doing it. But you know, obviously they'll know here shortly.
Coach, this season hasn't particularly gone the way that you envisioned. How do you handle the pressure that's kind of coming on you and your staff and not let it affect you at the bigger picture as you're trying to still improve this team?
I just think, you know, when you do this long enough and you understand that, you know, this is part of the business, and at Auburn there's very, very high expectations, and when you don't live up to them, then that's, you know, that's part of the game, and that's part of the profession, and if you can't handle it, you don't need to be in it. So my goal is one goal, and my goal is to really care about our players and our coaches and continue to try to move our team in the right direction. And it hasn't been, you know, anything what we thought or we would like, but it is where it is, and we're going to continue to press on.
Gene, what's the plan for Scott to be on the sidelines or in the box? With the
He'll be in the box. Yes.
Gene, when there are questions, you know, about the future of the program and your future, does that make it more difficult for a coach to lead in a situation like that, and does it make it more difficult for players to be led?
If you let it, you know, I think it depends on how you proceed and how you do it. I don't lead any different right now than I did 2 years ago. And so, you know, the biggest challenge with that is obviously, you know, what they choose to hear and read and believe when they walk out of the building. And so those things I can't control, but I can control exactly what I look like and exactly what I talk like and exactly what I do every day by what they see and what they hear. And that will not change. The message won't change. I won't change. Our coaches won't change. And so are there outside sources right now that, you know, make it difficult if they choose to listen to whatever's out there? You know, I'm sure that, you know, it can become difficult for them, but, you know, I got to give our guys a lot of credit. I've said it. You know, they come in here, we come into our team meetings, we talk, we're open, we do it the way we've always done it, and we're not going to change with that. We're all disappointed in the outcomes right now. You can have disappointing circumstances, but you can't walk in here every day disappointed and live like that. You got to keep working and you got to keep moving in the right direction. So, you know, that's how we're doing it. And, you know, we're going to go back to work and we're going to continue to try to improve. And, you know, that's the only way I know how to do it, and that's the only way I'm going to do it. So I am the leader, and they're going to take my, you know, they're going to follow my lead, and they're going to do it based on what they see from us and our coaches. And so there's no option here other than doing it one way. That's it. That's the only way I know how to do it.
There was a report in AL.com this morning. Danny Sheridan told Tuscaloosa Quarterback Club last night that a couple of assistants have been taken off the road because of possible NCAA recruiting violations of some sort. Is there any truth to that?
Well, let me go back. Let me go back to the same thing I said. I don't have time for all that. I've got one direct focus, and that is my team and my players. That has nothing to do with us winning. That whoever said what has nothing to do with anything. So I'm not getting into any of that stuff. I've got one track, and that is our players and our coaches and trying to get us to the next win. So all of that stuff is, I have no comment on that.
Can you talk about how important it would be for you guys to get a win, just anything positive going on?
Yeah, it's big. It's big. We need a win. And I mean, for me to stand up here and say that would be an understatement. You know, we need a win. And again, we're going to go out there and we're going to fight our tails off and try to get a win Saturday. And, you know, we've got 1 month of football left. We've got 4 games left, and we have great opportunities out there. And I can assure you that we're going to work to, you know, every day to try to, you know, get a win this week and then try to get a win the next week and so on and so forth. So, but it's big. You know, the medicine and the remedy for being in a position like this is really only one thing. It's winning. And so, you know, I think it's very critical that we practice well and we prepare and we go out there and we get one Saturday.
What's the status of Chris Davis?
You know, it's been on and off with some health issues. And, you know, he had a concussion a couple of weeks ago. You know, we're just very, you know, those kinds of things are very touch and go. And so, you know, he tried to come back in the Vanderbilt game and then kind of had some reoccurring issues with that. So, you know, like so many other guys on our team right now, there's just, you know, there's some issues health-wise that we're on top of. But we've got to be very careful with, you know, our number one concern is the health and well-being of our players. So that's, you know, that's kind of day-by-day thing right now.
Gene, I saw, not sure what the reason for this, but Ontario only had one carry on Saturday. Is he banged up or hurt or anything?
No, and we went in thinking that there was going to be more than that, and a lot of times with his carries, a lot of them are read plays. So that if we're reading a guy and that read gives us the opportunity to give him the ball, he's going to get it. And so that really is not, that's not a health reason or he's not producing. It's none of that. And I told him that. I said, hey, look, it was one of those circumstances. We felt like we wanted him to touch the ball, anywhere from 10 to 12 times, depending on the circumstances. Then the game became something that was completely different, from a score standpoint. And so we had to get a little away from a little bit of some of that stuff. But I wouldn't read into that at all.
You talking about the read. Jonathan's a guy that's done that for his whole career and does a good job. How much does he bring to the offense because of that ability?
Well, when he's in there now, and that's been his role, and now you bring him in and he's got a completely different role because he's really expanded the offense into many more things. I think that it can become very helpful for us. So now you just can't come in there and say, okay, when he comes in, we're going to be running this play and this play, and maybe they got one pass play off of it. Now you have the opportunity to do several different things in terms of running the whole offense. So it'll be different.
Gene, the past 3 games, you've given up a touchdown in the opening series, 4 games ago against Arkansas, well within the red zone. As you go back and look at it, is this team having any issues getting prepared adequately, especially defensively, out of the gates?
We're trying to put our finger on that. It's been disappointing because, if you look at the opening drives defensively from our guys, it's been really, really poor. And then somewhere in the middle right there, it kind of evens itself out, and then you play fairly well. And like I said the other day, there's been some improvements in our defense, certainly in red zone defense and third down defense. But throwing Saturday night's game out because there was very, very, very little that we did well at all during the night, whether it was the first drive, the last drive, or any drive in between. But prior to that, the 2 things that were glaring is the opening drives in games, and then many times right before halftime. Hard to put your finger on. Really, it goes down to an execution thing, I think. Again. But there's been times in there that through the course of the game, we've played well enough to make sure that the game has stayed pretty much in hand, where we've had a chance to win it in the fourth quarter, and we haven't been successful at that. But I don't think you can put your finger on one exact thing. We're still trying to work through that, to be honest with you.
Sort of related to that, it's kind of an odd stat, but the other team on their opening possessions, even when you win the toss, which hadn't been often this year, you've been deferring, and a lot of times you're playing from behind. You've thought about changing your strategy?
We thought about it. You think we should do that, Mark?
Well, statistically,
it might help,
68
right?
yards on the opening possession.
Yeah.
Other team.
We have actually had that very discussion, and to be honest with you, I mean, I like to be on defense first. Traditionally, I mean, all things being equal, I like to go to defense first. I like for your offense to have the opening possession in the second half because you've seen exactly what the defense's ideas are in terms of that. Really quite hadn't panned out like we expected it to, so we've thought about that, and we've thought about everything. So you may see a change on that, but that's a 50-50 proposition depending on whether you win the coin toss or not. So, but we thought about that.
Gene, you said that your message to the team is one direction, but as far as coaching X's and O's, because a season like this, kind of maybe you said you thought about everything. Do you go back to the drawing board, X's and O's wise during time?
Well, when you say go back to the drawing board, you don't go back and start, with new stuff, and I mean you can't. That's not where you have to go when you're in these situations. You have to go back to the execution of the calls and you know, all of those things. And to be honest with you, you know, we've had opportunities that we, you know, have not delivered on, you know, whether that's, you know, opportunities to make tackles in open space and we miss them on third down plays, whether that's a receiver that's open for a touchdown and the underthrow, or, you know, the quarterback gets hit, you know, a little bit late and he doesn't, you know, we had a couple of those scenarios, you know, the other night. And so, you know, the X's and O's part, we're just not, you know, we're not executing at a high level. And it's a guy here, a guy there, typically. So you just got to keep going back and trying to, you know, when I say my message to the team is the same, it's, look, we're going to work every week to try to give you an opportunity to keep the games in hand and win the games. And it's not, well, we're going to start over here and do this new and do that. I mean, you got to go with the structure of what, you know, what you feel like you've built up the most reps at. Not that you can't have a, you know, a tweak here and there, but we just got to coach them better and they got to play better. It's that simple.
Anything else? All right,